Hello everybody and welcome to the first episode of Diceyreviews Season 2. My name is Bryson and today we will be reviewing Ranking, which is a game by Rio Grande. Rio Grande is one of my favorite game companies. They always seem to turn out great products, and this is not an exception. So inside the box you will receive a few things. You will receive some of these pieces, which are your player pieces, just to let everybody know what color you are. You will receive other smaller color pieces, and you will receive an arrow matching your color, and that is what you will play with. You will receive a bag which you fill with flags which have questions on them. You receive a tower that you can put together to make your board. And finally, you receive pieces with pictures of items on them. So this game is similar in nature to Apples to Apples. The goal of the game is to answer this question. So let's use this for an example. Which do game players find more stimulating? And then you have a little doll, a passport, a fire extinguisher, a life preserver, or a Swiss Army knife. Well, I think they find the passport most stimulating because they can go on a trip to anywhere in the world they want then. And yeah, you just play that in, and all the other players will play their pieces, and then randomly put into the pot, just to make it more interesting, you put some random pieces. And the number of random pieces varies from game to game because of how many players you have. So then the player whose turn it is will then they'll start by playing all the pieces on the 3 level, and then they will choose, okay, I think the ship can go up because who doesn't like sailing, and the doll goes down. And this continues in the same fashion until all the pieces are spread out. Until one is at 6 and one is at 0. Throughout the game, you'll probably want to try to figure out, okay, who played which piece. If you really think that the yellow player played the Swiss Army knife, you'll put a yellow piece on it. If you think the purple played the doll, etc., etc., you play the pieces on that. At the end of the game, the player whose turn it is will continue, or to start to go through all these pieces, and you will get points based on what level you're at, as well as you'll lose 1 point for every piece that someone correctly guessed on your chip. So if purple actually did play the doll, then they would have gotten 1 point, minus 1 point. The goal of the game is to go all the way up the tower, so to number 6 and back down. It's a very simple game, but it can get quite interesting, and depending on who you're playing with, it could be really fun to try to figure out who played what. This game isn't for everyone. It's a more of a basic game. It's recommended for younger children somewhat, but it actually is pretty fun for older children, adults, teenagers, etc. I found it really fun to play with my youth group. Everyone seemed to really enjoy it, so it was a good fit there. If you are a hardcore gamer and you play strategy games and you're a Dungeons and Dragons master and you're into diplomacy and risk and all these kinds of games, it's probably not for you. Although I love diplomacy, I love Pandemic, I love all those strategy games, and yet I still like this game. I won't be begging everyone to play it, but hey, if it's getting played, I'll still enjoy it just the same. This game, it's said to take between 30 minutes and 45 minutes to complete the game. I find it's in the 20 to 30 minute range. It's not a long game by any stretch of the imagination. If you have an hour to kill, you can squeeze in 2 games and just have fun during that hour. But if you want to fill an evening with gaming, I don't exactly recommend this. If you're trying to only play like 1 game, maybe 2, because you'll have to play a dozen of this game just to fill that same time. Where if you wanted a long evening filled, then you could play 1 game of diplomacy and probably still not even finish it. So I enjoy the aspect that it is pretty short, but again, if you wanted to fill an evening, this isn't that type of game. Like I said earlier, this is a very family-friendly game. None of the pictures are inappropriate, none of the questions are inappropriate, although if you're playing with a bunch of teenagers, some questions could be taken in a dirtier context, but that's just based on how you play it and who you are. But for the most part, it's really family-friendly. It's an easy concept because of the fact that everyone is constantly voting. They still do have a chance to win, although they might not grasp the concept fully of not ranking yours up every time, because then it's obvious that it's yours. The build quality of this game is actually pretty good. Everything is made with thick cardboard that doesn't seem like it'll break right away. The little pieces seem to be made out of wood, so those are pretty good. I'm sure the paint will chip quickly, but I've played it quite a few times, probably a couple dozen, and nothing seems to be going wrong, which is quite shocking. Typically, if you play a game, after maybe 10 or 12 games, you'll start to see some wear and tear, but if I would have just bought this game off someone, I would have guessed they had never played it, so the build quality is surprisingly good. That being said, it's not an expensive game. I guess because it is such a basic game and there's not a ton to it, it doesn't run you much. It will run you between $30 and $45 depending where you get it. Overall, I'm going to give this game a 6.5 out of 10, which it's not great. It's a C or D or whatever. That's a C+. So it's not a poor game. That's probably a little lower than I should rate it, but because of the very limited market for it, I'm going to rate it lower. Personally, if the rating was just for me, I'd probably give it a 7.5 or 8 area, because it is a pretty fun game, but you can't fill time like you can with other games, and you have to be with a pretty special group of people that have similar senses of humor or something, because just like apples to apples, if you're with someone who doesn't enjoy humor, then they probably won't enjoy this game, so that's why I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Season 2 will be continuing at a pretty scheduled time every Tuesday and Friday. I will attempt to put out videos. I might not be able to do it every Tuesday and Friday because I do have a life, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, have a great day.